I have waited an entire year just to make this video. And I hope that this video can help anyone else that is dealing or struggling with any kind of addiction to any kind of drugs or even alcohol, or doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol, it can be anything that you have a dependency on, because you never want to be dependent on anything. You always want to be able to depend on only yourself, and that's it. But today's gonna be a little bit of a different video. Today's a little bit more personal for me, and it's something that I never would have thought would happen, just because I have dealt with this addiction for 7 years, and it's weed. So it's not anything that's crazy, but it was able to have this grip on me for so long, and I thought I would never let go of it, or I never thought that it would ever let go of me. But through my discipline and through my willpower, I was able to let go of this addiction and not become dependent on it anymore. And for me, I started smoking weed when I was 14. I first tried weed when I was 14. And I remember I was in Florida with my family and they don't actually know about this, but that's all right. But I was in Florida with my family, and that's the first time I ever tried smoking weed. It was out of one of those like tobacco old school pipes with the little bowl and like the handle, and never actually got high. And I didn't try to pick it back up until I was 17, which was 2017. I was 14 in 2014, so 3 years later, and I was in my senior year of high school. And I had a friend that I used to go to middle school with, and we got reacquainted in our senior year when he transferred to my high school. And because of that, he introduced me to weed again. And ever since that time, I never let go of it. I was pretty much a chronic user, for, I would say, at least 6 years. The first year, I was kind of trying it out, smoke here and there, not every single day. But then it got to the point where I was smoking every single day. I was using it to eat my meals. I would use it to fall asleep. And it wasn't till last year, a few months before the new year began, where I was starting to really understand and realize that I have a deep addiction to weed. And that's when I had to make the decision to let go of weed, or else I don't think I would have ever stopped smoking if it wasn't for that decision. It was getting to the point where I don't think I could have enjoyed my own meals. I don't think I could have gone a day without smoking because of the stresses in my life. I thought I needed it to get through the day. I thought I needed it just to feel better at the end of the day. I would be like, I can't wait till I get home so I can smoke a blunt. And I knew that was a problem, and I had to do something about it. And up until last year, around the end of February, that's when I quit. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that was not the easiest decision to do, just because of the withdrawals that I had to go through. Not only that, but the mental that I had to go through, the mental game that I had to put myself through was pretty much one of the biggest factors of that whole phase of quitting. But the physical withdrawals of me quitting definitely affected me the most. It would be times where, like, after the first 4, almost 5 days of quitting, I went cold turkey and I couldn't sleep and I was having cold sweats, and I had to wake up, for work the next day, not being able to sleep that night before. And I have a intense manual labor job, and so that took a lot out of me. That took a lot of energy out of me. And going through that physical, going through those physical withdrawals is where the mental game came. Because obviously when you're going through things like that, when you're challenging yourself to go through certain things that your body hasn't been used to in a very long time, can easily mess with your mind. And your mind is telling you to pick the weed back up. That's what my mind was telling me. I need to smoke again so I can feel better. But then I was able to override that. I was able to override my mind and tell myself that if I do that, then there's no point in me even trying to quit ever, because it's so easy for me to fall back on myself if I do that. It was that easy for me to just pick it back up, meaning that I thought I was weak for that. I thought I didn't have any willpower. There was no point for me if I was to do that. But the fact that I was able to do that made me such a stronger person at the end of that. Me being able to go through that experience really changed and morphed my mind for the better. It changed my paradigm. It changed the way that I look at myself. It changed everything about me. And I'm not going to say that the journey of quitting was easy. It was not easy at all. If I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be the same person I am right now. And so I'm glad that I went through it. And just being able to understand why I was doing the thing that I was doing, why I was quitting, made me understand that I am a bigger person. I am worth more than I think I am. And I have a purpose, even if it's not the same as everybody else. And that's okay, because individuality is probably one of the most beautiful things about the human experience, is understanding that you are an individual and you are unique, and your story is going to be different from everyone. And you might go through similar experiences as people, but you are not anything like anybody else. So the things that I was able to put myself through, going through that experience, made me a better person, made me a bigger person, made me a stronger person. And it's not like I didn't have thoughts of going back to it. It's not like I didn't want to go back. It was just, I told myself if I do, then I wouldn't look at myself the same. I wouldn't be the same person. And I know I wasn't going to be the same person, because addiction is literally its own drug. It's doing everything it can to pull you back into the lifestyle that you were living before. That, for me personally, not that it was a super bad thing, but understanding that the dependency on drugs is what allowed me to really open up my eyes and realize that that's not the person I want to be. I don't want to be dependent on anything. And that's kind of the same thing with anything else. Like, if, for example, caffeine, I just quit caffeine recently. And yeah, I mean, I didn't go cold turkey, but being able to wean off and then fully be off of caffeine changes your perspective, changes your mind on things. It could be something as small as caffeine. It could be literally quitting, watching certain websites, right? Or anything, vaping, doesn't matter what it is. As long as you put the same foot forward, the same principles behind the thing that you are trying to get rid of, that you are dependent on, it's going to make you a better person at the end of that. And not only do I realize that now, but I want everybody else to realize that. And that's something that you should strive for, is to be better, not, be dependent on outside sources, because that just means that you can't depend on yourself at the end of the day. But this journey made me a better person, and I'm glad that I went through it. And I hope that me telling this story can hopefully influence anyone else that's going through a similar experience, because there's going to be times where you're going to tell yourself you don't want to, but on the other side of that, you're going to be a better person. So maybe instead of focusing on the feelings in the moment, maybe try to focus on the future you, the person that you will be. Being able to even put yourself in those emotions of the future can change the way you think about things right now, and it can ultimately be the thing that pushes you forward to want to get to that side. Because if you go through this experience, it's not going to be easy, but the things that you're going to get tested, the things that you're going to get put through while you go through this experience, is what makes you that better person at the end of it. Having those thoughts of wanting to go back, it's going to be like that. But understand that you're a strong person and you can do anything. And I just want everybody to know that. Everything I just said is simple, not easy. Love y'all, man. Peace, y'all.